Hello, everybody, and welcome to Book It Vince, the Wrestling Dream Match podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Martin Bennett. And with me, as always, is the sensei of Mattitude, Anthony Hall.
The what? What is the sensei of Mattitude?
Yeah, the sensei of Mattitude.
Oh my goodness. Who could this possibly be?
Well, I mean, it's in the name.
Sensei.
Of what?
Mattitude.
Which wrestlers do you know that have the name Matt?
That's Matt Sydal.
Matt Hardy.
the sensei of Mattitude?
Yeah.
That's very confusing. But yes. Okay, great. Sensei of Mattitude. Matt Sydal is the first wrestler I can think of that has Matt as their name. And I love the Hardys. They're like my favorite.
That was like that nickname. I'm pretty sure was when he was doing his like his either his V1 gimmick where he was doing those like Matt facts, like that sort of thing.
Oh yeah, okay. That checks out.
And so he is Mattitude, like he had his own attitudes thing. So, but yeah, there you go. You learn something new every day, folks.
Yes.
Anyways, we're gonna start a new episode here. Sorry, I'm a little thrown off because if you're watching the music video, what am I supposed to say?
If you're watching the music video,
if you're watching the video version of the podcast, I'm in a new space, and that's because I moved to a new apartment. And this past week has been organizing and getting stuff together, and it's still sort of a mess and everything. And this is going to be the new space that we do things in for Unknown Error once we can do more in-person stuff, which is fun. It's just that it's a little unorganized, so bear with us. But
yes.
We are about to get into a brand new episode. If you enjoy what we do here at Book It Vince, please like and subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcasts from. Go check out the video version on our YouTube channel. Tweet at us, share it, tell your friends, anyone who's into wrestling. You know, let's get more people involved. Send us your questions, all those fun stuff. There's a lot of ways for you to interact with us here on the podcast.
And also you can see all the cool t-shirts. You can see all the cool t-shirts. Marty is wearing a Britt Baker role model t-shirt.
Dude, this is like the best shirt. This is easily the best wrestling shirt ever.
With her after her bloody match with Thunder Rosa. And I'm wearing one of my favorite wrestling shirts. It's
it's just classic.
A New Japan Pro Wrestling 3/4 length sleeve t-shirt.
It's just a classic, which is awesome. Yeah. So this week it is Mr. Hall's turn to proposition a dream match that he would like to see us book. Anthony, what are we going to be doing this week?
Okay, there are a couple of levels to this dream match booking, but it's very silly. So this dream match booking will be happening in AEW. Okay. And we are going to exist in a world of AEW where a trios tag team belt has been introduced. Ooh. And the dream match, the dream feud is between Jurassic Express and a new faction that I have just created called the Treasure Hunters. And they are coming from NXT / I don't know what brand this person's on / SmackDown or Raw. But these are three superstars who will be leaving the WWE. And in a dramatic reveal package that I will tell you about right now, you'll find out who they are. So let me just set the stage for you, Marty. I think the Dark Order should be the first Trios Champions.
In what combination though?
Yes.
So the Trios Championship has been rumored about for a long time because of, you have the Elite, you have Kenny Omega and the Bucks, you have Jurassic Express, which is Luchasaurus, Jungle Boy, and Margo Stunt. You have Death Triangle, which was the Lucha Brothers and Pac. There's a few other ones. You got Best Friends, Orange Cassidy. There's a few, and there's a lot more that could happen. But so
I think,
what combination of Dark Order were you thinking?
Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Hangman.
Okay.
And I think it they get the titles from some sort of eliminator or whatnot. That doesn't matter. But the feud that is this is the start of my booking, is basically the Jurassic Express beats the Dark Order and becomes the champions. And then the next week on Dynamite, there is a video package, and it's in the desert. You can see there's 3 different people, and you can't see their faces. You can just kind of see their backs and their feet walking in the sand. And you hear somebody say, "This is the spot." And another one of the guys either takes a shovel or clears off a bunch of the sand, and it says, "Coming to Dynamite next week." And then the angle flips, and you see who the 3 people are, because they're staring down at the hole or the thing that's cleared off. And it's Drake Maverick, Killian Dain, and Baron Corbin.
What a combination of people. I mean, Killian Dain and Drake Maverick makes sense because they're currently a tag team.
Yes.
But then Baron Corbin.
Because I want them to be heels, and their gimmick is that they're treasure hunters. They are going from promotion to promotion to find the best and most prestigious titles to win. So they're trying to be belt collectors, but they're heels. And obviously the belt collector is a heel, but they're challenging for all these titles. So, but this means that they have found the most prestigious thing that they're looking for, which is the trios title of AEW. So they are coming to AEW, and they are the treasure hunters.
So, all right. So this is the booking of the trios titles in AEW between Jurassic Express and the treasure hunters, consisting of Drake Maverick, Killian Dain, and Baron Corbin.
And I've renamed them as well for WWE purposes.
Okay.
So, and let me tell you a little bit about their characters, Marty.
Okay. Are you giving them brand new ones, or giving them, because Drake Maverick had a name before he became WWE? Came to WWE.
There's only one person. It was Rockstar Spud was Drake Maverick.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Okay. So I didn't technically rename them. I'm not reinventing the wheel, except for with one person who has never had a non-WWE name.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a bit more about their character archetypes within the faction, because we needed a small guy, a guy that could beat up Jungle Boy, and a big guy to fight Luchasaurus.
Right. And then, because you could easily have. Right. It would be very interesting to see. I can already see the combination of, you have Baron Corbin and Luchasaurus. That's obvious. Then you have Drake Maverick and Marco Stunt, which that would be, they would put on such a banger match. It'd be so good. And then the size difference between Killian Dain and Jungle Boy is, Jungle Boy has faced people much bigger than him and much more powerful than him before, but he always ends up looking really, really good. Okay.
Exactly.
Let's hear these new packages of these 3.
Okay, so basically we need sort of the muscle, the wild card, and the like smart and conniving guy. So the smart and conniving guy, the adventurer, he's going to be Drake Maverick, but now he's referred to as Professor Spud. And Professor Spud is like this
Nice.
a hybrid of like the Relic Hunter and like a really shitty Indiana Jones. So he's very scholarly because like, oh, I located all these treasures. But then like when he gets in the ring, he wrestles in like a kind of like hack ass like attempt at an Indiana Jones costume. So he like has a whip and like a little hat.
Right. And
he's an adventurer.
Yeah, he's got like the rolled up like white button up shirt.
Yes, exactly.
And then like wrestling pants or tights that are like kind of like old khakis or whatever.
Yes, exactly.
Does he have a hat?
He comes to the ring with a hat, but he takes the hat off.
Okay, then we have to 100% keep the gimmick of like that he always has to keep his hat and he can never lose his hat.
Yes.
So like at one point
it's ringside, but like if people fuck with the hat, then he will get distracted very easily.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and then of course we need the muscle. We need the enforcer of the treasure hunters, who would be Killian Dain. I've reverted him back to one of his indie names, Big Damo. So
that's good.
He is Big Damo, the enforcer, and we can present him in any way we want, really, but he's basically just like the guy with like it's not a bulletproof vest, but he's got like maybe a vest on, like he comes to the ring with like a machete or something, and it's like sheathed, and he's never going to unsheath the machete.
Well, yeah.
Well, maybe. Well, we don't know yet. And then we need like the wild card, like a Jeff Goldblum-esque guy. So I want Baron Corbin. He's going to be renamed to being Corbin Thomas because his real name is Thomas something. But we'll retain the Corbin thing. So Corbin Thomas sounds like a very douchey adventurer guy name. Like, I'm Corbin Thomas. You don't mess with me. I don't play by your rules, Professor. Like he's one of those guys.
Right. Okay.
And he's the wild card. Like he will do anything and everything to get the score, get the treasure. So he's a real cheating bastard. So that's the treasure hunters: Professor Spud, Big Damo, and Corbin Thomas, aka Drake Maverick, Killian Dain, and Baron Corbin.
Wow.
And yeah, that's what I have so far. I try not to pre-plan too much because I want to see what we can explore, but there are some moments that I want to be a part of the booking, like the reveal with like the adventuring, walking through the desert and kind of brushing off a thing. And then it's saying like treasure hunters coming to AEW Dynamite next week. And then we do the flip and we see their faces and they're like, yeah.
I think then you gotta try to hype it up and make it mysterious, obviously, because it's going to be a whole thing of like, AEW has been very good about how like they bring people in and like they Tony Khan wants people to talk about who they could be and like he understands and they understand like that you need to stir up like conversations online about who could these people be.
You're right. Yeah.
So it could definitely be like at like a pay-per-view or something. Like let's say what would be a good one
to reveal them at?
Yeah, let's say like Revolution, just because that's
sure.
like near around our current timeline and
yeah.
And so like this could happen obviously whenever. Also we're creating, these non-existent titles, so it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But say it's like at Revolution, there's a promo video played and it's like in the desert and it's like we don't actually see anyone. It's just like shows like footage, like it like shows like Like, actually, to continue with Indiana Jones, you know how there's like the map and it has like the line like going along, like it could be that, and it stopped, and like that's part of it, but we don't see it where it lands. That could be the next one where it lands and it says AEW, and you're like, ooh. This is people coming to AEW, but we just get this whole thing, and it's like, it just ends on something like either like the treasure hunters are coming, or just like a catchy thing of like something that's catchy, but also like you instantly understand like this is a new group coming. So it's like they're maybe it's like a movie trailer sort of voiceover where it's like,
yeah, I think that's really funny.
There's a lost treasure.
Yeah,
something like that,
Yeah. So it's like, okay, so we see like, you know how like the best friends like Titantron just has a bunch of like generic images and stuff like that. Yeah. I think these images should be like generic like treasure hunter, like treasury or adventure images. So it's like the Sahara Desert, the Great Pyramids, the Amazon rainforest, and then we see the map, and it's like you see like just footsteps going like, and it's like they've traveled from afar, they've battled adversity far and wide, and now they've found one great treasure, and then it's just like
as coming soon,
yeah. And then maybe there's like 3 symbols, like maybe like there's like a hat, like a fist, and like a set of like leather boots or something, and they each come up on the screen one at a time. It's like, so it's 3 people.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then I think then a couple weeks later, you get another one. This time you get like a little bit like a glimpse, not of who it is, but like of like people. And they're like, it's like maybe hands come up and they're like pointing to a map. And it's just like you kind of see like the silhouette of people. And then it's more of that sort of same of like a movie trailer where it's like maybe it can tease like banished. Banished from their homelands.
Yes. Yeah, it's like they know not a home. They are nomads.
Yeah.
It's like banished from all their places that they have called home. They've united together for one common cause. And then just like comes, and then they're like maybe like a treasure chest opens, and it's just like, shh, and it just says, and then the voiceover man just says, treasure. And then again, it's like coming soon.
I think then they open it and it says like AEW.
Yeah.
Coming to Dynamite. Like something like that.
Treasure. Coming to Dynamite.
And so then I think then the final reveal would then be after maybe either Jurassic Express, which we'll get to how they end up getting the titles and like their journey as well. But like, I think then the true reveal comes when Jurassic Express retain the titles in a match. And then that's when they're revealed.
Yeah. Cause then all 3 of them come out, and they have to like, they'll be very dramatic, and then they'll like point at the belts and be like, that's what we want. Or
well,
like
if they're supposed to be heels, I think what would be really impactful is it's like, and still your trio's tag team champions, Jurassic Express. Yay. And then on the screen, it's like, whoosh. And like, then we see like true footage of like these three dudes who we don't know who they are yet, like going into a cave and digging up, and you just see the backs of them and you can kind of tell, you're like, oh my God, I think I can tell who it is, like digging up a treasure and then like opening it up. And then we cut to inside of it or whatever, and then opens it up, and then you see the three of them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, maybe it's Drake Maverick, and he's like, and he says some really cheesy, like, I think we found our treasure, boys. And then, it closes, and then in the ring, Jurassic Express are like, what's that? And then boom, they get attacked from behind.
Yeah, exactly. You're right. Yes. Okay. So yeah, after Jurassic Express retains, we get a slow video package. It's very mysterious music. It's you can hear like the wind blowing sand and shit. And then they walk in, you see the silhouettes, they open the treasure chest, and Drake Maverick's like, that's it, boys. We found what we were looking for. And then you see the two like shadowy figures. Jurassic Express is like, what the hell? And Killian Dain just comes in and just flattens Jungle Boy. And then Baron Corbin, aka Corbin Thomas, is just punching Luchasaurus. And Marco Stunt is just like so confused. And in comes Indiana Jones clad Drake Maverick, and he does the underdog onto Marco Stunt. He crushes him. And then he's just, then they all grab the belt and they are looking at them, and they're like, and then they hold them up, and it's like, whoa.
Yeah. I think then that's where on commentary, you got to have like Tony Schiavone. Tony Skiv. Tony Schiavone. No, I know. I was just making fun of the fact that Jericho I was making fun of the fact that Jericho always mispronounces his name for no reason other than just to make fun of him. And you got JR and you got Excalibur, and they're like, JR's like, who are these guys? And that's again that bad JR. Added to the counter of bad JR impressions. And Tony's like, I don't know. And Excalibur's like, oh my God, that's what is Drake Maverick's
Professor Spud?
Well, no, not
Rockstar Spud.
He says Rockstar Spud, and then that's where in the next promo he can say, I'm now Professor Spud.
Yeah. That's Rockstar Spud. That's Big Damo. That's Corbin. And then it's just like, oh my God, what is our business here in AEW?
I think for Corbin, he's like, it can't be Corbin.
Yeah, it can't be. Nice. Yeah. So that is their debut into AEW is I think the main event of Revolution should be the trios title, so that this is like a big impactful moment at the end.
Well, no. So at the initial introduction of the tease was at Revolution.
Oh, Revolution. Right.
Because that would definitely get people talking. They're like, oh, snap. Because they love doing, I mean, it's the best thing for business, honestly, is to let your big teases happen on your big shows, because then it gets more people talking about them. So then all the dirt sheets would be like, who is this new group? The treasure, like who are these people? And then everyone will speculate like who's on the market right now, who's a free agent. Oh, it could be this person, could be this person, you know? And then you just let it cook for a couple of weeks, and and then it's revealed, oh, it's a group, and there's three of them. And it's like, okay, well, what three dudes could it be? And then it's a big Dynamite reveal to like be, you know, their number one moment of the night of these 3X, and everybody would be talking about it the next day. These 3X WWE superstars made their debut on Wednesday night as these new characters, as this new group, and it looks like they're going after the trios title.
Yeah. And I want them to have like comedy sensibilities as well. Like, I think one of the storylines of this is they're going to like try to attack and blindside Jurassic Express in another match, but like now that Jurassic Express knows about them, they're like a bit more well prepared. So like, let's say that like Jungle Boy is like in a singles match with like somebody random, like, I don't know, Kip Sabian, and you like you like see those guys try to like ambush or alter the match, just to like intimidate Jurassic Express, but Luchasaurus is ready, so he easily fights off everybody, and they're like, how the treasure hunters are trying to figure out like why Luchasaurus is so strong, and like Corbin is like, it's because he's a dinosaur. It's not fair. He's a dinosaur. And Professor Spud is like, there's no way. And they try to prove that Luchasaurus is not a real dinosaur because if they can prove that he's not a dinosaur,
but he is. He also has a master's degree.
They take his strength away. so that's like a thing that will be recurring in their feud, is that Professor Spud is constantly trying to prove that Luchasaurus is not a dinosaur.
Well, that's the thing. I think AEW is really good about it. They are. I love the fact that there's a lot of like, even in like serious rivalries, there's a bit of comedy, and I think that all stems from like Kenny Omega and the Bucks, how they understand that like you can tell a very serious story, but you need to have like moments in there where there's reprieve, where there's like a bit of just silliness because it is wrestling. And so, and Jurassic Express are really good about that because of the fact that it's like, you know, yeah, we have the tiniest guy in wrestling. Mm-hmm. We have a guy that if you're a real fan, you know, he's just a normal dude, but we'll just call him Jungle Boy. And this dude who's a dinosaur that's 65 million years old, but he has a master's degree in what is it, medieval history.
Yeah, and I think like as we continue to build up to the treasure hunters challenging Jurassic Express, they have to like go through other trios, right? So yes, we have to see them face other interesting trios, and I think there's like fun mini storyline opportunities here. Like I think like Big Money Matt Hardy and Private Party. I think Matt Hardy sees the opportunity to hire the treasure hunters because he's like, oh, they're hired guns, they can help me find more money, like with treasures. Yeah. So he tries to like get them to sign a contract, of course. And Professor Spud is like, we don't work well with others, especially when you're trying to take advantage of us. Rips up the contract, and that sets up a match between Private Party, Matt Hardy, and the treasure hunters. I think that's our first match.
Yeah, I think then what would be a good bit of fun in like this new group sort of like shtick is maybe with everyone they face and anyone they beat, they take a treasure.
They take something from them.
Yeah.
That's really funny.
So with Matt Hardy and Private Party, you'll know this if you watch Being the Elite. Forever ago, Matt gave, I think it's Isaiah. Yeah. He gave Isaiah this chain that says VIP. And I think it was some bit in BTE that was making fun of MVP getting the Hurt Business chain. Right. Or I think it all had to do with like attacking Hangman at one point. And so like maybe they like rip that off of him and take it as like, this is our first treasure.
Yeah, exactly.
I think then another great team that they could face, it would be like a elevation match would be like the Gun Club, where it's like where it's Billy Gunn and then his sons. That'd be a good trios one that they could, because then you could really put over like Corbin being like a monster and like doing the end of days to To Billy Gunn. Yeah.
What do they steal from the Gun Club? They have chains too, right?
No, I don't know. Like, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
Do they like take Austin's headband?
Yeah, sure.
Or Billy? Yeah,
sure.
I thought they had chains for some reason, or some sort of jewelry,
or like the fact that like the Gun Club is like huge on the AEW social media. Maybe they take away their phones.
Oh yeah, that's great.
And then for like the next week, they do all of the AEW social media, like do like the Instagram lives and stuff.
Yeah, that's great. So they take away the Gun Club's phones. Okay. And then who are some other fun trios that they can steal treasure from?
Let's see.
Like Pretty Peter Avalon and Cesar Bononi and there's somebody else in there.
Oh yeah. Ryan Namath.
Yes. There's one other guy too, but it's
TJ or D. No, I forget his name.
God. I forget his name. Those guys.
But yeah, they're like the Hollywood hunk. Like, well, that's Namath, but yeah, they're like, we're the good looking bad guys. And I think
JD Drake.
Yeah. I think then they take Avalon's like robe that he comes down in, and like Drake puts it on, but it's too big, but it's still like, or even like Killian Dain like puts it on and he like flexes it and he does the Tommy Boy thing where he rips it.
Yeah, that's really funny.
And I think Avalon's like, no.
I think their first real test as the Dino Hunters, so like, not the Dino Hunters. That was my pre name for them. They're called the Treasure Hunters. But let's say that they're causing quite a stir. And I think the number one contenders at this time for the trios belt is Team Taz. So they beat Team Taz. And I think Killian Dain challenges Brian Cage for the FTW title. And that is like their first big treasure that they collect.
Right. Okay.
Because Killian Dain, I think can beat Brian Cage and us, and we can't. And like we would be like, oh, that's fine because like he's a giant dude versus a giant dude, and we need something for these treasure hunters to do post this Jurassic Express feud, because I don't think I'm kind of fast forwarding to the end of this, but like I don't think that they beat Jurassic Express because Jurassic Express is babyface mania and everybody loves them.
Right.
But they come close to beating them. But obviously they don't go over, but they still have the FTW title so that Team Taz can come back and feud with them after the Jurassic Express match.
Right.
But that's like the big test, is that they have to beat Team Taz. And once the treasure hunters do, Taz is like, who do you think you are? It's like, you're coming here, you're stealing things from people, you're punks. You got no respect for the business. This is a joke. Like, you're not really adventurers. I know you. You're not who you say you are.
And all you are a bunch of wash-ups.
Yeah, you're a bunch of wash-ups. You're a bunch of phonies. This is a joke.
And there starts Taz's new gimmick where he just calls everyone a phony.
Yeah. And then
I think of Sting and Darby Allin. They're a bunch of phonies.
Yeah. So the treasure hunters are obviously very much upset by this, and especially Killian Dain, who is like, we're not washed up. Look at all the people that we've run through.
So wait, is this before or after they face for the trios titles?
This is before they face for the trios titles, because in my mind, Team Taz is the number one contenders at the moment. Like, they're the number one ranked trios team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
As they do with the imaginary sports statistics in AEW, where it's like,
hey, listen, they matter. Hey, listen, they matter.
They matter, man.
They matter in the sense that, like, I get that a lot of people go, oh, well, you just make them go on to dark and elevation, then just win just to buff their stats. It's like, well, I mean, it's either that or what WWE does, and you just do 50-50 booking, which sucks. Like, of course you're going to have your stars win. It's like, of course you're going to have these top 5 or 6 teams crush everybody, because you have to have that. That's the only way you make stars. That's the only way you make like big names. And like, that's why I really like the TNT title at the time of recording this with Darby Allin, where he's like, hey, if you're in the top 5, I'll face you. Yeah. And so like, he's just been, they've really been pushing that, where it's like, you're in the top 5, cool. Or like how Britt Baker made it a purpose to be like, I'm just going to go on every show and I'm going to beat whoever I can, just so I can climb that to the number 1 spot to get my title shot. It's like, yeah, right. make it matter. And so it's like, okay, the treasure hunters just need to get into the ranks, and they realize that. But obviously they made their statement against Jurassic Express. So there's somewhat of a rivalry there. And even then you can have singles matches. Like, you could have a singles match between Jungle Boy and Killian Dain that could end, with a bit of schmoz. And
I think we have to establish Killian Dain. Yeah. Like, I think the treasure hunters would, in like trying to prove that Luchasaurus is not a dinosaur, like they could do like a distraction where it's like, I think Professor Spud like has just like a bunch of like raw red meat, and he's trying to like lure Luchasaurus away from the ring so that like Corbin can interfere and help Killian Dain. And I think that works because he's a dinosaur, right? Like in kayfabe, he is a dinosaur. So Professor Spud lures Luchasaurus away, and then like Baron Corbin.
Be very funny. It would be very funny that it's like you have this very intelligent and ruthless like character, but then like they just have like very easily acceptable like faults of like of like, oh, I love meat. And it's
just a steak, like a big steak.
Even then you could have it be not just like the like really dumb, like, oh, well, okay, so I'm an animal, I'm a dinosaur, so I'm hungry. But then like you could put a bit more comedy on top of that, where he gives like a smart answer where he's like, hey, you always need your protein.
Yeah, exactly. That's like how he justifies it to Jungle Boy after the match, because Corbin Thomas hops onto the apron, and he maybe like either has like he's wearing maybe like a motorcycle glove type thing, but they're like loaded. Kind of how like Sean Spears like slides the slug into his hand. So his gloves are loaded, and Killian Dain throws Jungle Boy in an Irish whip and just punches him in the face.
Remember, he is a Golden Gloves boxing champ. So
exactly. So that works perfectly. That's it. So that he can like punch him in the face, and then Killian Dain throws him into the corner, hits a Vader bomb.
His gimmick could be like, he's like if it's like Indiana Jones, right? And then you have like the adventurer, the big brute. You could have, you remember in Indiana Jones how he has that fight with the giant dude, and like the plane is like slowly spinning. Yeah, and it's this giant German dude. That could be Corbin, where he just comes out in pants. He has gloves on, and he's just like he kind of is like a Diesel, but he's more of just like this kind of old school, like really muscular, like boxing guy.
Yeah, I think that's like his in-ring persona. Yeah, but his out-of-ring persona is like weird Jeff Goldblum-esque, like leather jacket.
Jeff Goldblum?
Because I love his character.
from Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
He was a scientist in that.
I just love the look. I think of it.
You just want to see this all just comes down to you want to see Baron Corbin do that lay on his side pose.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. I want him to do that. Yeah.
But okay. So Team Taz is the number one contenders. So it's probably Hobbs, Ricky Starks, and Brian Cage.
Yes.
Okay.
And they get beat by the treasure hunters. I don't know that it should be. Oh no, it's not clean. I don't think the finish is like completely clean. I think like maybe Baron Corbin's glove, or maybe a whip gets used. Maybe it's just like some shenanigans should happen.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Taz cuts the promo where he calls them washed up and phonies. And he's like, you shouldn't even be here. You're not worthy of the time.
You know what you are? You're all just a bunch of phonies.
Yeah. To which Big Damo, Killian Dain, takes much offense and challenges Brian Cage to put up the FTW title. And that match is going to have a screwy finish, like a very, very screwy finish.
Well, it could end up being it's for the FTW title, so it's all about who's the biggest badass, who's the man. So then it could end up being in like a hardcore style match.
Yeah,
where then there's just a lot of stuff happening.
Yeah, it's like no DQ, so like everybody is like fucking with everybody else. I think like it would be really funny if Baron Corbin and Killian Dain like trap Ricky Starks underneath like a giant tire or something, so he like can't help, and they just like put it on top of him, and he's like a
giant tire,
a tire, yeah, like a tractor tire, because for some reason that's in the match.
Well, it could be like a street fight or like a parking lot brawl or something like that.
Sure. Yeah. And then basically it's 3 versus 2. Well, the match is 1v1, but now there's like an advantage of who can like fuck around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But at the end of it all, Killian Dain wins the FTW title, which makes Taz incensed. You could have
Hook, Taz's son, take a huge bump from Corbin.
Yeah.
Like doing like end of days, like off of a structure or something, or no, he like deep sixes him like off of like a structure into like some sort of like collapsible like box or something.
Yeah.
Totally takes him out.
Yes. And of course, after he wins the FTW title, after Killian Dain does, I think we get a little bit of a promo from Professor Spud saying, like, we have battled through all of these people, and we are now coming for the big prize. And it's like, you've known that we've been coming for you. You know, you've been the prime target, and we're coming for you, Jurassic Express.
Well, yeah, he'd phrase it as like, we're coming for our biggest treasure.
Yes, yes. The treasure that we came to AEW for.
Mm-hmm. And even they can acknowledge the fact that it's like that they need to climb the ranks in order to get at where they need to. And so they vow, like in the beginning, like they vowed to take a treasure from anyone who faces them, like really play up the gimmick and stuff. And then you can involve then, like, even in the smallest way to help get them over more, like put them on being the elite.
Yeah.
And just that's where you can like really play out the funny stuff. Cause like Drake Maverick is really good at comedy. Like him and R-Truth through the whole 24/7 belt was awesome and hilarious. So you can really play into that side of it. And then same with Corbin. And obviously, like, you have these three dudes who are very odd couple-y. So there's a lot of really funny bits that you could get out of that. And like backstage, they could still be like taking people's treasures. And then you could have like really good encounters between like them and Best Friends and Orange Cassidy. And then that even can lead into a match on like Elevation or on Dynamite. Where they like try to take Orange's glasses or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you do the hat thing sort of on Being the Elite, where like I think Drake Maverick always loses his hat, but he also it's always very important to him as well. So he's like always panicking, trying to find his hat. Okay, so I think the match actually that I want to do for the Trios Tag Team title is not a traditional Trios match, Marty. I think Professor Spud, he's like, okay, fine. We've proven that indeed Luchasaurus is a dinosaur. And that is a freak of nature, an experiment gone wrong. We need to put him back in the ground. So it's a buried alive match for the Trios title.
Interesting. I was at first I thought you were going to insinuate to have like a ladder match or something. Which that would be very interesting, like a trios tag team ladder match. But
that's good too. That's good too. But a trios buried alive match is a trios also really tag team
buried alive match. I mean, mostly because the comedy of having Spud, I'm trying not to call them by their WWE names, but that's just what I know them as. Also, it's just funny to say Spud. Having Spud, what was Killian Dain's name again?
Big Damo.
Having Damo, Spud, and Corbin like trapped inside of a thing and then getting buried alive. And even if they're not like fully buried, where it's just like they're like either at the neck, like it could be like a cinematic match or have cinematic elements to it just to get around certain stuff.
Yeah.
Where it's like they get buried up to the neck and then just three of them like buried up to here and they're just like, I told you this was a bad idea about it. Like
yeah, exactly.
Continuing that where you can play into like the seriousness, and then this is where you can have like, I think then to just inspire a bit more ruthlessness. I think then one of their, in the pursuit of trying to prove that Luchasaurus is not a dinosaur, they try to steal his mask.
Yeah.
Or like they try to rip it off of him.
Rip it off. Yeah.
On Dynamite. I know that FTR cut. Honestly, I was very confused. I know. Okay. A little behind the scenes stuff. I know that the reason why they cut the horns off of his mask, in the FTR versus Jurassic Express rivalry, I know why they did that is because he ended up getting a new mask, but the new mask looked exactly like the old mask. I thought he was going to get like a brand new one or like have bigger horns or something like that, but ended up just being the same mask, probably just better quality. So they're like, oh, let's destroy the other one for story.
In Lucha Underground, they kill Luchasaurus. Like I think they cut his horns off and they cut his head off.
Wow. I did not know that. That's incredible.
Yeah. I think so.
But so like, I think that they are then in the pursuit of taking his mask. And like, if this is going to result in a buried alive match, you need to have Jurassic Express have a moment where they need to show that they can be ruthless themselves.
Yeah.
In a retaliation on the treasure hunters.
Well, I think after they bury the three of them, I think that either Jungle Boy or maybe Marco Stunt like takes the hat, he like puts it on, and then he just lights it on fire.
Or I mean, he takes the hat and wears it, and then he might take it off and then do something like that. I meant like ruthlessness before this match, so that then when they go into the match, they have a reason to like adopt this hardcore style, because they're baby faces, and it's like, why would they accept like a buried alive match? Obviously, it's like, you know, that's the thing, is like, you could have a really good joke here, actually, where in the promo, I just thought of it. This is so stupid. You could have Professor Spud say,
"Yes,
we're not just gonna have any old wrestling match. We're gonna put you where you belong." And then you have Killian Dain, Big Damo, say, "In a museum."
In the museum, yeah. And then Corbin says, "In the crown."
Yeah, because then the whole joke there, if you don't know, is every time Indiana Jones sees something, he's like, "It belongs in a museum." And so that's where are we going to put them? In a museum? No, in the ground.
The ground. And
but then we need something that the treasure hunters do to Jurassic Express to get them fired up, angry, ready to put their bodies on the line. Because it can't, like, it could just be like, this is the match. Okay. Or if it's like, what? Because in these types of matches, you need a reason for why the babyface is ready to go push themselves over the edge to do some really heinous stuff.
Well, I think they should kidnap Luchasaurus before the match and try to basically try to like maybe they cut his antlers off or his horns again off. Maybe they just try to like neutralize him, and they torture Luchasaurus. Like the treasure hunters they torture Luchasaurus.
They try to experiment on him.
Yes, exactly. They try to, because the professor wants to experiment on him. So yeah, they try to like, it's implied that they try to like cut him open or something. And you could hear like him, like Luchasaurus, like, ah, and that's when like Jungle Boy and Marco, maybe with the help of like the best friends, like come in and save Luchasaurus. But you can see that like Luchasaurus is so wounded, like maybe this is an opportunity to give like Luchasaurus like a kayfabe injury, so he's not like as strong. So maybe they like do something to his arm so that it's like he has to like have his arm wrapped up for the match, and he's less powerful. But who needs arms when you're a dinosaur when you can just tail whip people? So I think that is going to be a good moment where Baron Corbin is fighting against Luchasaurus and targeting like the arms. Mm-hmm. And Luchasaurus counters by just like tail whipping the shit out of Baron Corbin.
Huge
and, like,
kick.
Just kicking him right in the face, like off of something or into something. And that would be a really fun moment. And of course, like, yeah, how dare they try to take the boy's dinosaur and torture him? That's what makes Marco Stunt and Jungle Boy crazy.
Yeah. And then you can have a real good moment of Marco maybe grabbing a weapon or something, and like maybe Maverick, Professor Spud, has like Marco like backed up into a corner and is like and like thinks that he's like got him, and then like Marco like reaches over like the barricade or something and pulls out like a kendo stick or something and just starts like wailing on him.
Yeah, exactly.
And then gets everyone behind them, and like this is where it's like the one of the commentators can say like, "Oh, don't make the little man angry."
Yeah.
And then you can show like have like a really good sequence of Jungle Boy like seeming like it's against all odds, and then he comes back and then he like manages to do a whole sequence on Dain or on Corbin. But yeah, it leads to I think like it would be, I think like the ending, the finish should be a combination of like they managed to get like, say it's like, I don't really think it'd be like a hole in the ground, as more of like they build this like special stage or something, or like, because it's not going to be like a grave site. It's going to be like, maybe they make it look like it's like a dig site.
Yeah, like an archaeological dig. Yeah.
Yeah. And so like they build this stage or something, and it's like that. And then like maybe they have like fake dinosaur bones.
Yeah, yeah.
And it pisses Luchasaurus off, where like maybe like one of them like picks up the fake dinosaur bone and hits him with him, and he grabs it, and he just
starts to like cry.
Maybe there's a moment in the match where he like is holding it, he's like, no,
he's
this
like,
is my
no.
family. How dare you? And then he like uses it as a weapon.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
that's how they knock. That's
Professor
how they knock
Spud
like.
out.
Well, no, I think Spud should be last. I think like they should knock. I think they should knock like Dain in, and then knock Corbin in. So then so then like he's surrounded by the 3 members of Jurassic Express, and then he like is like maybe like Marco like slaps him, and then he like it turns into the comical thing of like getting hit, turning, getting hit, turning. And so he like gets hit by Marco, turns, gets a big forearm by Jungle Boy, and then turns around, and then Luchasaurus just grabs him by the neck, and then a big choke slam into the hole. And then they like signal for the burial, and then like that happens. You see it happen, but then as the dust gets cleared, then you see they're all just buried up to their neck. And and Spud has the hat on, and Marco Stunt like goes over, takes the hat, puts it on, and like they just stand there like super proud with the championship belts.
Yeah, that's great. That's it. That's the final moment there. Yeah. And I think maybe right before like the burial crew comes in, I think like you see like you see Big Damo and Corbin kind of get up, but when the chokeslam happens, Professor Spud lands on top of them, so they're flattened again, and then that's when all the dirt starts coming in, and they're just like,
Lovely.
And the end is the heads being exposed, being like, I can't believe you thought this was a good idea. I trusted you.
Yelling at each other. The villains defeated.
Yeah, and Marco's son puts the hat on, and then they raise up the titles.
Yeah,
and that's the end. That's the end of that match. Boom.
That's awesome. I love that so much. Oh, that's so silly, but it's so fun, and it's a fun like new utilization of certain wrestlers and like what their personalities have been and stuff, and creating like a new stable. That's really fun. Let us know online in the comments of the podcast or on social media. How would you have booked this feud? Are you interested in AEW getting a trios title, and who do you think should hold on to it first? Let us know. So then actually this sort of leads into the question for this week for the podcast. Nice. And actually ties in very nicely. So as always, you can leave us questions to ask here on the podcast, either by leaving them for us on social media, on our Twitter, or by going to our website, unknownairfilms.com/bookitvince, and submitting a question on there that we'll answer right here on the podcast. The question this week, Anthony, is if you could invent a new title to be on a show, what would it be? And the trios title, it's already been in talks and rumors and stuff, but if you can invent a brand new like title for any brand, in AEW, WWE, New Japan, all that stuff, what would it be? Mine, the first one that comes to my mind, because I saw a picture of this and it made me remember, oh yeah, I've always really liked that. Kenny Omega now being dubbed the Belt Collector. Because he recently won the Impact World Championship. made it, people were sharing pictures of other wrestlers who have been belt collectors. And one of the pictures, I'm pretty sure, I didn't do my full research, but I'm pretty sure it's Lance Storm. And it's back when I think he just won like all these different championships on the indies. I think maybe one of them was like WCW, like the US title, but it was him with all these titles, and all of them were rebranded into Canada titles.
Oh,
because he has the famous moment where he took the US title in WCW and he rebranded it as the Canadian title. Getting real heel heat.
Yes.
You know, all that sort of stuff. I want to see the Canadian title come back. I want to see either like Kevin Owens win the US title, and then he's like, screw it, I'm just going to make it the Canadian title, or like Sami Zayn, or, you know, give one of our Canadian boys that title and let him rebrand it into the Canada title.
That is very on brand for Sami Zayn's current character, I think, if he won the title and rebranded it. And yeah, that would be very funny. For me, I think I want to see a hardcore championship in AEW. Like, I want to see a hardcore belt. And I thought that maybe the FCW belt would become that, but they haven't really made any headway with what that title means. But if there was like a hardcore championship in AEW, that would be really cool because, there's a lot of good wrestlers and amazing talent that have put on like crazy hardcore matches, or at least in the style of a hardcore match.
Would it still hold the same sort of like rule set as the original hardcore championship, where it was that sort of like you defend it anywhere at any time against anyone?
I think so. Yeah.
Cause I think
it has to be like that.
I could definitely see like if they weren't pushing Darby so hard right now with like him being the face of Wednesday nights and with as the TNT championship or TNT champion, I would 100% see him hold it at one point. Joey Janela hold it at one point.
Yeah.
You could definitely see like it being like a championship that gets passed around a lot. Obviously it's like everybody kind of goes, oh, but the prestige. I mean, you could have someone hold on to it for a long time. Like, yeah,
like if Moxley doesn't challenge again for the title for the AEW championship for a while, like you could have him be the bastion of hardcore wrestling in AEW. And hold that belt for a long time. Like he could be the guy you have to like get through.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I like that. Let us know online, of course, as always, whenever we ask a question here on the podcast, let us know what title you would like to invent and put onto any of the brands that you think should exist. And to wrap up, as always, we have our question, not a question, we just did that, our match recommendation of the week. It's my week, and I think I'm going to have to recommend. We were talking about trios, which made me think of triple threats, and the one that instantly comes to my mind, just because of not anything recent, but just thinking of fun matches and ones where the dynamic was really interesting. I'm going to recommend. I forget which WrestleMania it is. I will double check that. I know it was in 2006. It's Rey Mysterio versus Randy Orton versus Kurt Angle at WrestleMania for the World Heavyweight Championship when Rey Mysterio won. It was WrestleMania. It was in 2006. It was WrestleMania 22. Oh yeah, it was 22. WrestleMania 22, World Heavyweight title match. Rey Mysterio winning the Royal Rumble that year, entering in at number 1, lasting against 29 other men to win, go to WrestleMania, and face off against Randy Orton and Kurt Angle and beat them.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah,
just because it's a really good match and it's also very emotional because it's a true underdog story, and that's always fun to watch. So go check that out. And there we have it. That's this week's episode, everybody. Thank you for the fun, ridiculous idea, Anthony.
Of course, I only bring the finest and most silly bullshit.
It'll be very interesting if whenever a trios title gets introduced into AEW, because there's a lot of cool groups where you could highlight apart from the tag team titles. So that's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I hope that you had a lot of fun listening to this episode of the podcast. Of course, as always, if you want to follow everything that we do here at Unknown Error, you can follow us online by searching at UE_films. You can follow myself online on Instagram and Twitter at Barton_Minute. You can follow Mr. Anthony Hall
at Hall and Jokes on Instagram and Twitter.
And you can follow the podcast on Twitter at Book It Vince Pod. Please share, like, review the podcast even. We'd love to hear your reviews if you enjoy listening to this every other week. But for now, stay safe out there. Go watch some wrestling, and we'll catch you next time.
Too sweet.
Too sweet.